All right, let's take a scour through the buffet of pain and misery that we had here in the sports weekend. I'm gonna keep it lighter here. I'm not gonna say that we're on a downfall or anything, but I want you to pick which topic we got to get to first because I know you're gonna have some thoughts behind both of these stories.
Let's just keep it in chronological order and go with the game that happened first this weekend.
So let's do it. So Saturday was the big rivalry game. Obviously, did not go Ohio State's way. It was a matchup that, going back to implications, I think that was the one, Mitch, that if you'd have beaten Michigan and gotten into the playoff, because we know whoever's going to beat this team is what I said last week. Whoever's going to win this game is going to go to the Big Ten championship against Iowa. They're going to piss away the entire first half, and then they're going to get their act together in the second half and completely dominate to get into an easy playoff position. That team will be the Michigan Wolverines after they got their third straight victory. I think this one was where you could have really done damage to that program, considering the controversy, considering the scandal where I think you might have had a legitimate excuse of like, oh, Michigan cheated the last 2 years, so they had one over on you. And then they beat you without, and I know some people are like, they beat you without their head coach even on the sideline. He was there at practice all week. He's there 95% of the time. The 5% is important, though. So that probably another lost season for Ohio State. It's ironic that this loss was not as bad as last year, and I think this team could have been even more competitive than the previous year, maybe. But it's going to be harder to get in the playoff this year with so many other teams top loading the final spots. We know Georgia's probably, well, I think we'll get to that whole freaking game in a second. We know the Pac-12 winners in. We know that Florida State might be in, probably will be in because I don't know what's going to happen there. Cardale Jones, I get it.
Thank you. I was going to stop you before you moved on. For all the people out here saying you can't put a bat, we literally got put in with
Yeah,
a third string quarterback and won the whole thing. If you
yeah.
continue to win your football games and
I
you go
know,
perfect,
I
you
know,
can't hold a team hostage for an injury.
but
Because if that's the case, Ohio State would have never got into 14. We never win the
I
national
know, I
championship.
know, I know. I already thought that. Well, granted, you know, here's the thing too. Louisville, I don't think has a chance at sneaking into the playoff. Wisconsin that year, if they'd have won that game convincingly, you could have made the argument that they could have done something, but nevertheless. Going back to the game, a lot of people frustrated, a lot of people upset. A lot of people are being like, what's the answer here? Because now it does kind of feel like you're at a loss of identity now where I hate to say it, but you are a little bit of a second fiddle right now to Michigan. I mean, you kind of have been for the last two seasons now, but I'm not at a point where I'm like, we need to blow up the entire system. I know where you're at. I know what you're going to get to here, but I think we have become pretty accustomed to a level of success. And because of that, sometimes if the success keeps going, but it doesn't result into the full picture, it can start to feel cheap. Yeah, you're winning 9, 10, 11, 12 games in the regular season. Great. Are you winning the Big Ten championship? Are you getting into the playoff every single year on a guarantee? Are you winning those playoff games? And more importantly, are you beating your rival? Which we'll get to that importance in a second. I think Ryan Day can be a very, very good coach. I think he's a good man. I think he is somebody that when Urban left and we had him take over because he won those couple of games and Urban was suspended, I said, all right, yeah, this is our guy. He can be a guy, but I don't know if it's consistent. He's consistently the guy. It's just, it's one of those things where, and it sucks to say that it may be more comparable to Cooper than it is to Tressel and Urban. And I don't want to say that because I don't want to go through what my parents experienced in the '90s, where every team with NFL caliber talent kept getting let down by that rivalry game. So I don't know. It's just this sort of, yeah, I don't really know where to go from here.
This is exactly Cooper all over again. In fact, they have identical records for the same amount of games played. They have the same record against Michigan in the first 4 games against Michigan. Now, listen, that was 4 years for Cooper, 5 years for Day because Michigan did duck Ohio State in 2020. And I'm never going to let that one slip through. You have to make a change. You have to.
Do you?
You have to. And anybody out there that's really worried about let Ryan Day go, what's he won? What's he won since he's been the head coach
A
at
lot
Ohio
of
State?
games, all but 7 of his
Lot,
games.
lot of games. When you're the head coach at Ohio State, what are your first 2 goals?
Beat Michigan and win the championship
How many times has he done that?
once.
It's as simple as that. I don't value the wins over Northwestern and the wins over Rutgers and the wins over Maryland if we're not beating Michigan and winning the Big Ten. Okay, your one win, yes, your one win in the college football playoff. I'm not going to take away from him, but I'm also holding the results of the year before that against Clemson as another reason why they won. And Dabo Swinney giving bulletin board material, calling Ohio State the 11th best team in the country. Like, to me, that holds weight. To call that our national championship that year, fair or foul, whatever. Justin Fields got hurt also then against Bama.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
Bama team was going to be insane to stop. Last year, you're one play away from beating Georgia. 2 plays. I mean, the Marvin Harrison Jr. hit were knocked him out of the game, and the missed field goal by Noah Ruggles, whatever. Because there's 2 things to this, both. One, it pains me because now, as much as I dislike him, it seems like Jim Harbaugh's comments from a year ago are starting to become more and more relevant. He was born on third base, but he thought he had a triple. Because when he took over that team for Urban Meyer, he had a lot of Urban's recruits. Now, Ryan Day recruits well. Like,
Yeah.
we're top 5 every year. There's no doubt about that. But what Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel did, they were both Ohio guys. They both understood the rivalry. They both had some flesh in the game, but they recruited Ohio players who this meant something to them. Mitch, when you get here, yes, it means something to you, but recruiting a guy in Texas that has no love growing up in this rivalry, where you have other guys who have grown up to hate the other school and you play in it, I think holds a lot of value. You see it from C. Grant. You see it from Reese Claret. You see from all these
Yeah.
former Buckeyes that were tweeting this past weekend that are very upset because it's not the fact they lost, it's how they've lost. They've been blown out in 2 of the past 3. And then this weekend, Ryan Day, who's this offensive genius, who has put up a lot of points at Ohio State, got conservative. And I felt like he got conservative.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, no, with the field goal in the second half, just it was one of those things. The some plays towards the second half, it was weird.
Yeah, I don't see how this is going to change. You have all these great recruits coming in still. The quarterback, I think, is this the lowest quarterback play we've had in terms of our standards at Ohio State in years? Yes, there's no doubt about that.
Probably, yeah.
Aaron Nolan comes in next year, but he's a freshman. So how good is he going to be as a 4 or 5-star recruit, depending on what sites you look at?
There is the Cameron Ward news where apparently he got like $10 million offers to come to the transfer portal, and Ohio State was one of them.
Yeah. It's very interesting. The other thing you have to keep in mind, Mitch, Gene Smith is done at Ohio State as the athletic director.
Yep.
There is another athletic director coming in. Now, this for me is all speculation. Looking at how things are lining up, though, Jim Tressel resigning out of nowhere at his position at Youngstown State as the president.
Yeah.
Is it possible he comes in? But either way, whoever the next AD is, this is the same thing as the NFL and general managers, right? ADs are going to come in. Okay, so if there is somebody they bring in, I just am hoping it's Jim Tressel for the sake of this because he was still the whole memorabilia scandal irks me and how he lost his job and everything. If a new AD comes in and wants to go get somebody else, there's a chance it happens. And everybody else out there saying, who are you going to get?
Exactly. Who are you going to get right now to get better?
Who are you going to get? Don't think there's a coach? You don't think there's a coach out there that can do just what Ryan Day's done?
You're not going to get one of the top power coaches in Saban or
no. I don't know if I want that.
No. I know, but I'm saying right now there's not a crop of these guys that are popping up and being like, this man, if we pop him into the system right now, it's going to be a world like ways away better. And you can fall into the same trap that Michigan did during the end of the Tressel run and into the beginning of the Urban run, where they kept swapping coaches because they thought this guy would be the difference maker. Rich Rodriguez, Brady Hoke, and then even Harbaugh for the first 7 years, he couldn't do it. He couldn't do this team. And the first game against Ryan Day, I swear to you, if Ryan Day had beat him the second time, he would not have come back to Michigan. I know he would not have, because they thought they cannot beat this program.
And I agree. And then when you look at it, the second time would have been 2020. So whether it was a viable cancellation or not,
yeah,
doesn't matter. But then after that, the scandal starts. So to your whole point, the last 2 years could have been vindicated with a win this past weekend.
Yeah.
Because you could have said, look, we lost because there's proof they were cheating. They had everything against us.
Yeah.
And then you go up here and you lose to an interim head coach, which, by the way, if this all comes out and they fire Harbaugh, or Harbaugh gets a ban, or Harbaugh goes to the NFL, Michigan's going to keep Moore.
You do that.
Who already has as many top 10 wins this year as Ryan Day did this year.
State, I'm not giving him the Penn State game. I'm not doing that.
But Ryan Day has one saving grace. If this was the 2024 year, doesn't matter. You're in the playoff.
There you go. Yep.
Right? You're in the playoff still. But if you're in the playoff still, but you don't win it, what's the difference?
You still have a shot. I mean, it's going to be much.
You have a shot.
Coach, all coaches are going to have more of a cushion now because of this expanded playoff coming up. Now, the Big Ten expansion could be interesting, because with these new teams coming in, this very offensive-minded Pac-12 crop, that could be hard. That could be very hard for a Big Ten team to overcome. And like we're going to see with Michigan, a run-based offense next year. I don't know if Blake Corum's coming back to school next year, but that's
how many years does this guy have?
I don't know. It's 9.
Is JJ McCarthy done, or is he back next year for his 9th year?
I don't. He might go to another on the transfer portal. I don't know.
I don't know. Listen. I think 2024 will be the final year across all sports where the COVID year can still be a factor, but it just, like, some of these guys I feel like have been here forever. I'm out, because have I been spoiled as an Ohio State fan, especially beating Michigan as much as we did? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm against the whole thing. Well, it's a rivalry. It's good for the rivalry.
Right. I don't want it to turn completely the other way, though. That's the thing.
No. That's the thing. It's a rivalry. Okay. It's back to being a rivalry.
Yeah.
But it was still a rivalry those 7 years Urban Meyer and Ohio State kicked the crap out of Michigan. Whether the score doesn't matter.
Some games were close. I was reminded of the 2015 game, 42-41.
Yeah. I can't take losing to that team, especially when you have more talent all around.
Yeah.
And if there's one person who looked smart this weekend, it was Lou Holtz.
Oh gosh, no. I mean,
which team was more physical?
I don't think he's sitting there feeling vindicated for.
But which team was more physical this weekend?
Michigan was, and Roman Wilson confirmed that in his presser, which was frustrating to listen to. But again, what does he bring? I'm not going to say that.
No, he had, the plays he made in that game. I don't remember his name being said a whole lot.
You remember Blake's name? You remember some of JJ's plays for sure, and the defense did what it had to do with a pair of interceptions, especially the one at the end, which again wasn't necessarily McCourt's fault, because he got hit because the left tackle.
I will give him that one 100%.
I know.
I know.
We know.
First one, though.
McCourt's probably going to be working for the Big Ten Network here in about 4 years. Which, I mean, if he wants to get into that, that's where I'm at right now. Just
job.